I've been trying to record this. So I did one yesterday with a new GitLabber, and then this is the second one. And I've had lots of chats with new GitLabbers, and I think it always goes to
Nice.
waste because all the great information that we talk about. But yeah,
Yeah,
no, this is your time. So what do you want to talk about?
yeah. Actually, since I am in the plan team, I thought it would be a good idea to,
Sure.
know a little bit about yourself, about your history on GitLab,
Yeah.
and maybe your expectations on me in terms of like helping the plan team. And yeah, I've been basically following some of the recordings that you were
Right.
talking, and I have even listened to one that you mentioned that you've been trying to record all the meetings. And
Right. Right. Yeah. Yeah, no, no, I can definitely do that. So I'm Victor. I joined GitLab in November 2016.
mm,
And then I live in Richmond, Virginia. On the east coast of the United States is about 2 hours drive away from Washington, D.C. And I moved here from Chicago, Illinois, in the Midwest of the United States, right in that time frame, because my wife found a job here locally. And so I was previously in Chicago for maybe 5, 6 years. And that's really most of my career has been there. I did grad school in a university south of Chicago. And but anyways, my wife found a job here, and I was looking for work, and I was really fortunate to find GitLab because it's a remote company. And so when I was looking for work, I still remember I was searching for the local jobs here, and then there wasn't a lot, and it was very difficult to find work here. And then one of my colleagues in the job that I was working at the time was kind enough to remind me or tell me I didn't know that there was remote work for product managers, and I didn't know that. I thought it was only for developers or like engineers like yourself in general. So I'm really glad to find that there was this new industry of remote, and so that's why I've joined and I've been here since. I'm the plan product manager. So in GitLab we have stages in our DevOps lifecycle. That's how we split up the company, at least for the product development side, including product marketing. We have like each of these departments, product engineering, and then UX is part of engineering, test automation is part of engineering, software engineering is part of engineering. I think actually database is definitely part of engineering, but I think interestingly, I think they're not. I think not yet cross-functional, like aligned with a team. They may be. I think I saw some things about SREs starting to be aligned, but basically all those departments that I mentioned, and then there's like marketing, product marketing, content marketing, technical writing. All these folks within the past year, we've structured them so that they align with a particular stage in the DevOps lifecycle, and that helps us move fast because we can iterate quickly, and so forth. And then I think for sales and customer success, technical account management, and those folks, they're not aligned with stages. And then I think they're aligned more with, like, say, geography or maybe certain accounts that I know less about. But it's interesting when people ask me this question, like how do we split things up? It's interesting. So right now for each stage, we have at least one product manager. In the future, we'll have more, as we talked about earlier today. Um, so I've just been part of plan. Well, we had different ways of chopping up GitLab in the past in terms of product, but it's since we've started chopping up in stages, I've been the plan product manager. Go ahead.
Okay. I noticed that I was looking to the features of GitLab, and Plan has lots of features. There are like some stages that have less features and some that have a lot more. And does it means that the teams that have, or the stage that have more features have more head count to work on this huge amount of features?
I that's never come up before in my knowledge. I mean, that's a great question, and I mean the sort of the pre-question is why is there more? I mean, it's you probably
I mean,
know
I think why is just
the
because
development of the product. Yeah, yeah.
exactly, but
But I think the answer is no. I don't think we've strategically said that. We've had more feature set and we have more lists of stuff to maintain, and therefore we have a higher headcount. I think how we work at, that's a great question. I've never heard of that. But I think at GitLab, we're so ambitious and we're always pushing forward. Our headcount is always about looking forward into the future. And that can be in relation to existing features, like deepening a feature, maybe maintaining something, or maybe there's like some technical thing, like, for example, like earlier, like last year around this time, a big thing we were doing was getting GitLab.com onto Google Cloud Platform, GCP. So obviously that was a big project, and then headcount was related to that. And then, or for example, you know, on the ops side of GitLab, so they're secure and defend now, and then we're making big bets in those areas. So we're increasing headcount in those teams, or we're making new teams to go after those features and markets, and so on and so forth. So when we do the headcount exercise, so we seem to do this all the time, but last time we did this was maybe fall of last year, and then, you know, we have a spreadsheet, we have to show it to the board. How we did it was really about the product team saying, you know, this is our vision, these are all the features that we want, or all the changes, not don't say features, but like all the changes we want to make to the platform. And then leadership gets together, and then, you know, and when I say leadership, it could be product leadership, engineering leadership, and then also individual contributors get together and say, you know, how much effort would it take to scope out this work? How long would it take to do this? How much people do? So we have some back of the envelope style estimations, and then that drives the head count. And I actually didn't actually hear much about the fact that, oh, we have, you know, a broader set of features. It was really more about, you know, plan and create and CI/CD have probably the broadest set of existing features, but it was really about the future things we were
and are there features in specific stages that are more like stable and with that receives less changes than others? And if so, what are they?
I mean, definitely, sort of by definition, yes, for the stages that we just mentioned, right? Because plan and create, so source code management, right? Like that's been there forever, and then there's some areas of the product that are mature or maybe not strategically we're pursuing, and then there's not going to be a lot of changes. A good example is snippets, right? Snippets are great. I'm not. I don't work in that area specifically. I actually did before earlier when I was at GitLab, because again, we shuffled the features. But even when I was working in that area, I didn't have a lot of feedback from customers saying that they want more of that. There's always going to be people that say they want more and more features, but that's like a good example where it's, you know, it's a pretty good, we can always do better, but it's pretty good feature. It works. We're not going to spend a lot of time, to my knowledge, that James Ramsey is the product manager there, focus on that. So there's a bazillion more examples there. And same with plan, right? Like every part of issue management, project management, there's so many details there. And we can't always radically change those things. And so, yeah, there's a lot.
There's one thing that I have noticed while using some of the features of GitLab, and then I would just like to share with you. And I also had a dinner last weekend with some friends, and one of them is GitLab user, and she mentioned something that I have faced, which is like, in terms of like the product is great, but I still sometimes face front-end issues that are very annoying, and it's exactly the same as she told me. So like I remember when I was like doing going through the onboarding, and I was having to update the team page and the paths page through the web IDE in the web. The web IDE, of course. I noticed like very small issues, like when I was trying to, you know, upload a file or add or delete a file, like I was clicking in the button, and then the modal or something was showing up and then disappearing. That if I clicked very slowly, then it would be there. But it's like, it's something that I imagine that it would affect a lot the users. And like I noticed also in the Teams paths page, if you go, I intend to open issues for this, but I haven't had more.
Right.
there are already issues for this. And I noticed also that if you open the modal for a specific path, in the mobile at least, I don't know if in the web version, in the desktop version, but it's difficult to close the modal unless you scroll. So like, small things that should be more polished, but I would like to hear from you. What's your perception of this, and what is GitLab doing to improve this kind of experience? I can't hear you.
Sorry, yeah, I muted myself. Yeah, no. In terms of polished, I haven't had. I mean, this type of feedback is really hard to gauge. We from I'll say from a couple of perspectives from my personal experience hearing this type of feedback. From customers, I don't get a lot of feedback. People saying complaining that GitLab is broken, or it's not polished, or it's things like that. I think that for customers, I don't know if it's because we didn't ask them, or they don't care, or it's not high priority, or they just don't expect it, which is also a problem, right? If they have low expectations, we shouldn't have them have low expectations. There should be high expectations. So I think that's one data point, that customers, when they come to us, it's mostly about they want a certain feature, or something is broken and they want it fixed. So it's a clear bug.
But do you know, for instance, how much is the usage of like the web IDE? Because I imagine
that one we'll have to go to James to find out.
Because I imagine that many of the customers, like many of the teams using GitLab, they are developers and they don't use the web IDE, they use their own.
Right. Yeah. So there's definitely that aspect. Yeah. That aspect of usage and people coming across bugs, and things like that. So we're pretty good with catching polished things, I would say, in general. I think we can do a better job of catching them before they're released. I definitely think that, and one of the reasons we've hired you is a greater effort more broadly, from a quality perspective, of having better processes, better, more people involved in saying these things. Like, I don't want to repeat the mantra like, oh, we're hiring QA engineers to fix a problem, because that's like, first of all, we don't have QA engineers, because that's what Mick said in one of the calls yesterday, which is correct, right? Because that's not their title. And then also that the quality bar should be, it's everybody's problems, same as performance. But in any case, why I bring that up is quality team, or just how quality function was something that we started relatively late. I would say maybe early 2018 or maybe mid 2017 is when we had, so we've always had developers, obviously. Then we had product managers, and the product team grew a bit. And then we had UX designers in mid 2016 really come. And then the product team really grew in late 2016, throughout 2017 and much of last year. And then I would say, like, of all these things here, probably infrastructure, production engineers, and quality team folks are the last wave of the function to be really built out from a product development perspective. So I think from the organizational perspective, there's a greater focus there. And then so like what I mentioned earlier, with when things are broken, we catch it really fast because we use GitLab.com.
Yeah.
So that's actually it's almost a bad thing, because I think it is a bad thing. We can improve, because it shouldn't wait to get to GitLab.com to be broken or to be aware of it. So I don't have numbers to say, like, maybe we're catching 95% of the bugs already, and before we were only catching like 50%. I don't have numbers to say that and to show that from like an automation perspective. But I can tell you, at least we're really good in seeing the problems, because we use it ourselves, and then we're really quick, at least in the places with high usage. And then in terms of having polish, I think UX design has been, they've had a greater focus, I'd say, the past 1.5 years to really, escalate and complain to product managers who are responsible for scheduling all work, like by the handbook, supposedly, to say like, we cannot accept this. Like, you cannot ship something that's broken, or if you ship something that's broken, just because you product manager say that, oh, it's okay, it's just the wrong color, and then the UX person would say, no, 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 it's a bug per my
Yeah,
standard.
yeah.
So we're increasing like that level of quality from multiple fronts. So I think there's,
That's great to hear. Yeah,
yeah,
my impression by the talk I had with Mac in my interview was like that we should be proud of GitLab because the quality team exists for like around 1 year, and before that it
exactly,
was just developers doing the work. I mean, developing the software, and
exactly.
they had already like quality in their minds because it was already working for that long time. So it's I think it's just having a quality team will just make things even better. And like I like to see myself and other people in my role as people that will support the developers to do their work faster, better, you know, like yeah, just make them more productive. And I see us more like supporting them in this direction. So, and by the way, the plan team didn't have anyone from the quality team before, so, or was it like
No, they did. They had Ramya was part of the doing plan, and then she recently became a manager, and then so
okay,
I think you're essentially filling her role there.
all
Um,
right,
but even then, Ramya was maybe less than a year, or maybe just rounding. I don't know how long she's been, but it doesn't seem that time flies at GitLab. But
yeah,
even just having dedicated, so we had Mech first, and then I think as he was building out his team, he was doing more platform, like just across the board, GitLab. And then at some point, engineering decided that we wanted to have dedicated folks inside quality as well. And then so now it's just, yeah, it's just filling out that headcount.
okay, okay, that's great. And so there are two things that I'm still not used to in terms of how GitLab works. And one of them is about I haven't had time to go through it yet. I'm still trying to finish my onboarding issue and at the same time do some code review, get used with what's going on. But I know that like one of the responsibilities of the quality team of or the test automation engineers is to create test plans for like the new releases. Could you explain me a little bit about like how a test plan looks like and yeah, how does it work?
I can't give you a lot of information. So definitely that's a question for Ramya and
Okay,
for Mech. But what I've seen from them in the past, or from Ramya specifically, is that for specific like larger features or more or something that's new, like maybe a new abstraction, a new object, a new feature, as opposed to say like an incremental improvement.
mhm,
Um, then there will often be an issue that they create in the same tracker, saying out that these are the test cases, these are the things that need to be written in the tests, and then that'll be tracked there. So I haven't been involved in a lot of that actually in detail. So
okay,
you asked me earlier, like what do I expect from you and things like that. What I expect from you is just good collaboration with the rest of the engineering team and the design team, frankly, right?
yeah,
What I
great.
expect from you is what you've been doing, like you've been speaking up and offering your thoughts on how you had success in the past, and saying like how you want to align with folks here. And you already did that in the meeting earlier today. So I think you're doing great so far. So from that perspective, um, product, at least in the plan side, I like to trust folks to do their good job and to do a lot of good collaboration. And this is actually relevant to what you talked about today about like reviewing work and
Mhm.
and so like you're reviewing work as a test automation engineer, but then how does a developer do code review? How does a product manager review features? And so there's this concept of review at GitLab, And so how I like to think about it is that, at least from my perspective, I don't review every single detail, and I actually don't review every single issue in detail either, because there's just so many things going on. And so I pick and choose. I'm very strategic on the things that are big features or very strategic. Definitely, we'll look at those. Maybe our code is, I think staging is. I keep forgetting. Yes, staging should be refreshed nightly, I believe. Dev.gitlab.org runs CE, and that's where we do our security MRs. Staging, I believe, is refreshed nightly, if I'm not mistaken, with master. So sometimes I'll be in staging reviewing features because we actually don't currently have a great way to do user acceptance testing, for example, in like a traditional in other organizations, or we don't have a so in places in the past I would have like maybe an environment to do user acceptance testing. Maybe there's some business test data or some cases that I run through, and then there's a QA engineer that does the feature level test, and then I do some business level tests, or maybe the QA engineer sits with me and runs through a bunch of tests. Like we don't do that at GitLab. I don't know why, or I mean, I know why, like I can guess why. A lot of it's just the legacy and things like that. But at the beginning I was concerned, similar to what you said, like, oh, like the quality and the polish, we should have, stand-ups to make sure what everybody's doing. We should, at the end of the sprint, we should have these like synchronous retros and evaluate. And then for every single issue in our backlog or that goes through the issue board, we should make sure to have business sign off from the product manager before it's shipped to production. Like that's like standard, right, of how things go through. But the thing at GitLab, there's 2 points to address here. Number one, there's just too many things going on.
Yeah, it's impossible to do
It's
it
just
like
impossible,
this.
and that's a good thing. And that's a good thing because we iterate quickly, and then we have a low level of shame. We have a bias for action. So all these are sort of like things that are in the handbook. And so we're even if we ship something that's not 100% there, we can iterate quickly, whether that means a feature, whether that means a small CSS change, whatever it is. And so whether it goes all the way to production before we fix it, or it makes it to staging, or maybe somebody just reviews it on GDK on their own machine, we'd rather merge it in as soon as we can and then fix it as an iteration.
Yeah,
So
this
that's
is
one
one of my
aspect.
favorite things on the
Yeah,
value.
so from a engineering perspective, from a software engineering perspective, it's a good thing. But from like a operations stability SRE perspective, they're scared of that, right? And so I haven't talked to SREs at GitLab recently. Maybe they understand and stuff like that since we started hiring more of them. But it's something that I've given a lot of thought about. And then the other aspect I like to tell people all the time is that everybody at GitLab is a product owner. So you shouldn't. So the code review piece is a little bit different because I think you'll have like maintainers of code, and then there might be even like there's what do you call it? I forgot what it's called. Per file, you can set code owners. It's a feature that we shipped earlier last year. So we have, in terms of code review, we have, I would say, a little bit more rigorous process where a merge request won't be merged until that process goes through. But from a feature perspective, from like, does this make sense? Do you need a UXer to review? Do you need a product manager to review? For most features that you're working on, the UXer will be there with you, whether you're a test and automation engineer or software engineer, and then they will be reviewing alongside and giving feedback. And most of the time, they try their best, from my observation, to not block the feature. And then they'll log an issue to say like, oh, we'll fix this, later on. So most of the time when I see that it's not blocking, but it's really good collaboration, and I think that's great. But more so than that, you'll have instances where a community member creates a merge request, an engineer sees it and says like, this is great, thank you for this merge request. And then the engineer will have a decision to make. They'll have a judgment call. Do I ping a UXer? Do I ping a product manager to review this? Or do I just click merge? And I think like 99% of the time when the engineer at GitLab clicks merge, they're making the right decision, like 99.9% of the time. Because everybody at GitLab is a product owner.
Mhm.
and GitLab has product managers. So everybody at GitLab has a responsibility to be just sensible and like, that's like a silly feature. That doesn't make sense. Or like, that's a great feature. Of course we want it. I'm just going to click merge and then tell the UXer and product manager later that, by the way, you know, we merged this amazing thing. And then if they don't like it, we're not going to revert it. We'll try not to revert it. We'll iterate on it. So from that perspective, things go by so quickly. The review process, we try to be very careful so that there's less blocking because of remote and async, and it's more collaboration and iteration after the fact. So that part, for me personally, it's not a problem because I never block anybody anyways, because I constantly tell the team, I trust you, stop asking me that. You don't need my permission. And by now the team knows, and then they go with it. And then if I ask for status, because it's not in the issue, which it should be, that they're quick to produce that status. So my
Yeah.
relationship with the team is, I think, very good because it frees me up so that I'm not a project manager. And well, I mean, engineering managers should be playing that role anyways if they do need to do like poke people for status and keep people accountable. But I'm more there to see things get shipped, to offer feedback, to offer collaboration, to
Yeah.
provide business context when it's necessary, and definitely not to do project management. And I found that there's been a lot of success there because then I'm not blocking anybody, and people
Yeah.
are just shipping really fast.
There's one last thing that I think we won't have time to touch up on, but that I would like to maybe discuss
Please.
in a future time.
Yeah.
Is something that I have discussed with Mac in my interview, that he thought that because of my experience in test automation, we could benefit from it in terms of shipping features, test automation features, or related to test automation features on GitLab in the future. And yeah, it's something that we won't have time to talk, but it's something that I would love to discuss more with you in the future. I
Right.
have even posted something on the Git and on the quality team that I will forward to you.
Please. Yeah.
It's like a product that I have experimented, and I heard in one of your conversations with Mac something about like that even we don't believe in like manual testing. We think it's like there's a great market and we should have something like this inside GitLab. But I think there are like a lot of space in terms of automation as well. And then I would like to continue this
Yeah.
discussion.
Yeah. Do you have an issue created about it? You said you slacked the quality channel.
Yeah, I have Slacked just an idea on the quality channel, so I will
Right.
just forward it to you if as soon as I found
So
it. And
yes, please do that. But the way to move things forward at GitLab,
create
don't
an
wait.
issue.
Don't wait, right? Don't wait. Don't say like like yes, of course, use my time as you want to use my calendar. Don't wait. Just create an issue to discuss the problem and the topic.
Yeah,
That's great. But even better if you have an idea of what's the smallest feature that we can build.
yeah, yeah,
Create that issue, and then that will start the momentum and get things rolling. So don't wait at GitLab because the worst thing that could happen is you create an issue and everybody ignores you.
yeah.
But then it's out there, and then somebody will look at it eventually. So there's always a benefit.
I've already been creating issues.
That's perfect.
In this case I haven't created because I was talking about a specific product that
Okay.
mentions GitLab already in their page. So I don't know if we already have a relationship with them, if you know. But
Doesn't matter. Just create an issue. Yeah, create an issue,
yeah, for
and
sure.
then somebody will find out at GitLab. That's the magic
Yeah,
of GitLab. Create an issue and then ping. Like for now, you can just ping me because you know me as a product manager. But
yeah,
later on, as you've been here for longer, you'll know who to ping. Like
yeah,
you
for
know, like
sure.
oh, it's the secure thing, and just go to like product managers are obviously the best people to ping in terms of features.
Yeah,
But later on, you'll just know because you as in your role, you're going to talk to a lot of people anyways. You'll know people are excited about certain things at GitLab, and then you
yeah,
just ping people and you get them excited, and that's your leverage at GitLab. Your leverage is to get people excited about things and to create issues and merge requests. If
yeah,
all you do is talk and type and don't write and don't get people excited, you'll never get the things you want done at GitLab, and then
I
you
see.
then you'll be sad. And so the way is to get people's attention and get people excited. And then the problem with typing it out in Slack or sharing even in a video like this, you
Mm.
can't, the friction of getting more people to contribute is super high. And
Yeah,
then
yeah.
they'll never know. And like, if it's amazing idea and then you found the right stakeholder and they're like, maybe they're like a VP of something at GitLab, then that's amazing. Then you have a really, like, you have an amazing stakeholder and a champion of your idea at GitLab. And then because they're in a leadership position, they'll make it happen. So that's what you want to do at
Yeah,
GitLab. So like, I'm a product manager, I have some power to schedule things, but if you can get like a even a person more senior than me, then you struck gold. So
for sure.
that's the idea.
All right, it was great talking to you.
Yeah.
Hope to do it more, and we'll for sure create some issues after our
Yeah.
conversation. Actually, before I will go for a little bit of cycling because there's some sun here.
Yes,
Finally.
please do. That's GitLab. That's how GitLab works. I'm glad you're enjoying that.
Thank you very much.
All right, I'll talk to you later.
Bye bye.
Bye now.